So, Andy, tell me a little bit about Embedded Works. What do you do? What problems do you solve for your customers?
First of all, thank you, Jacob and Nova Labs, Helium, for inviting me to this session. Yeah, so Embedded Works, we are I would say, a 15-year young startup. In that sense, we've been around wireless for quite a long time, and myself expanding my career. But what we do is, number one, we are a distributor of wireless devices, components, systems, and that's kind of how we started, version 1.0 of our company. And as we evolved, we got into connectivity. So, of course, connectivity like cellular and Wi-Fi and all the buzzword technology. And now, of course, LoRaWAN, thanks to Helium. As we evolved as a company from selling products, we grew up to starting selling solutions. So we have two brands that we're very proud of. One of them being trackingforless.com, which is one of the most diversified tracking platforms where we ingest any and all tracking devices. And then the other one is sensorworks.net, where we ingest sensor data, temperature, humidity, anything that has value, and we realize that onto a platform. So that's kind of our history.
High level overview. Perfect. I love it. So how did you come to use the Helium network? Like, what made you choose Helium?
Yeah, Helium, in my mind, is a game-changing business model. And back in the day when someone said, we're going to build a nationwide network, you're pretty sure that company would spend billions of dollars building that network. You got to bid for spectrum. You've got to, build out the towers. And Helium didn't do any of that, right? Helium essentially did what in 3 years, what the mobile carriers did that took them 30 plus years to do, right? I mean, the footprint is not exact, but if you look at Explorer.Helium, it's pretty darn close. And so what's impressed me fundamentally is just the savings. On a typical SIM card, you'd pay a couple of dollars a month just to do basic IoT. Here, I mean, you could do a couple of dollars a year, and you would be more than flush with the data credits needed to traverse IoT data. So it's just orders of magnitude, 10, 20x, orders of magnitude of savings for the IoT user.
Awesome. How about some interesting stats, facts, anything, fun you think the community, the ecosystem would like to hear about Embedded Works? Like, what are some cool use cases you guys do that you think, no one else is doing?
Yeah, I mean, the typical fun ones that I, tell people, we've tracked everything for our Tracking for Less business, everything from porta potties, to beehives. Yes, people do steal those things, or at least move them. But like the recent one that that we've had that comes up is food trucks. And food trucks. There are 35,000 food trucks in the U.S. and 40,000 or so people that work in that industry. And we have a customer that has some of the best ice cream in New Jersey that I've been told. Haven't tried it yet, but this guy has a huge following. And rather than go to his Facebook and say, hey, I'm going to be here today, I'm going to be here, people want to know exactly where he is. There was a better way. And what we do is we will provide him a tracking device, and then has a permanent URL. He puts it in his truck, and it will let people know, on their Facebook, just go to this link every single time, I'll be here. The catch was, he said, I want people to know where I am, but I don't want people to know where I live.
Yeah.
Our platform, we made him disappear in a 10-mile radius of his home. So once his truck enters that, it's gone. But outside, you know exactly where. So it's kind of this cool thing where you're using tracking to be found, not to find things that are lost.
I like that. Yeah. The privacy thing, especially,
Totally.
it's a big concern for people, but to
Totally,
be able to, set it like that. Very cool.
Yeah.
How about any major partners? Do you have any, you can name drop a little bit, people you're working with, people using what Embedded Works solutions, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, we've helped customers from startups to Fortune 500 companies. Given we've been at this for a decade and a half, but we have large medical companies like Fresenius Medical, one of the largest kidney dialysis machine companies in the world. They use the wireless technologies that we offer in order to transfer that from the dialysis machine to some sort of main device, or maybe throughout a hospital. We've done some government projects. During COVID, there was a spike in getting internet access to areas that were disenfranchised neighborhoods and all these type of things. And so we've helped provide Wi-Fi, hotspots from a software perspective. We have a brand called Wi-Fi Works somewhere up here.
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
And we provide safe surfing, so we can do that. And as it pertains to Helium, we are working with some manufacturers, high-end bicycles and things in urban areas that want to use that. And I would, definitely want to tell you about some emerging technology that is working with Helium, like Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi and Helium did not go in the same sentence, but now it can, based on some of the stuff we're doing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. To kind of finish this up, is there anything you want to screen share really quickly? Any teasers, anything you want to add on that we haven't?
Yeah. I don't have a screen share. I'm not a great graphics person, and I don't want to put my marketing guy under the gun. Like, give me something, right now. But I mean, some of the things that I'm proud that we're going to be releasing and actually wrapping up in a press and launching it. Number one, we have now a consumer-facing Helium Wi-Fi positioning tracker device. And there's two of them. One of them is tiny, and I wish I brought one with me, but it's a company called VLOT. It's basically the size of I would say a silver dollar, kind of thing in terms of length. And it doesn't even need GPS. How's that possible? Well, when Google went around the world and basically mapped the world on every street, they also sniffed everybody's Wi-Fi. So when you know where your the Wi-Fi is, and based on where your location is, that database is available for you to then correlate the positioning. And to our surprise, it was fairly accurate. So you would use that in areas like urban canyons, like if you're in a high-rise area, New York, San Francisco, GPS tends to not work well because you've got a lot of multi-path and issues. So Wi-Fi, you're passing through a Starbucks, you're passing through a deli, you will see that position and it will be mapped, and it's pretty accurate, right? So that's from a company called VLOC. Yes, VLOC. And then the next one, we have same technology, Wi-Fi and Helium. It's a badge, right? Think of it as your employee, check-in, check-out badge. Imagine that being Helium compliant and Wi-Fi sniffing. Who would use that? Well, think about universities. We have a project now with a university who wants to track all of their students on campus and even to some extent off campus. Only Helium can provide that coverage. And if they didn't have Helium, one Helium, hotspot would do it. It would be more than enough, right? As you know, and it has a panic button. So now, with all the unfortunate news that we're hearing, around the country, faculty members, students now have a way to alert, hey, something's going on, and then that alert will show up on the platform. So safety, and by way of Wi-Fi positioning and Helium is now, a conversation that we're talking to different parties. And I'll throw in the last one. Our company is developing a miner manager, because we plan to launch our own distribution of the Miner Works brand, which we're authorized resellers of hotspots. And we will have the ability now for any miner owner to remote into their device, irrespective of the network, irrespective of the manufacturer. Because sometimes, if you own 3 or 4, you don't want to call grandma's house and, hey, can you reboot my router for me? So those are things that I'm really excited about.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Andy. Is there, and I'll drop this in the blog too, but are there, what's the best way for people to learn more about what you're doing with Embedded Works? Is social media, website, a combo of all those?
Yeah, a combo. We have an active LinkedIn, handle, and certainly you can email me here, andd@sensorworks. That's kind of where most of the opportunity is. Today, it's all about tracking and sensors, where it's at and how is it doing. And so those are the two kind of brands. But love to talk to folks who are interested in really utilizing the network that they're already putting in their house.